Inspiration. What does it mean to be inspired? What does it mean? Inspiration. An old French word that means to breathe in. But why? Why? Why is there something about human beings that causes us to be excited by something, that causes us to breathe in when we get excited and stimulated by something? Why is it that we get pulled somewhere without any choice in the matter? We can't help it, but something just inspires us and draws us somewhere else. I think that's because we are creators. We are, by nature, a creative creature. We have fingers to manipulate machines and the physical world around us to create things. We have a mind and a pineal gland which creates visions. And we have lips which create words. We are, by nature, a creative creature. But there is nothing that tells us what to create. We can't explain why we like something. We can't explain oftentimes why we're drawn to something. We are just drawn to it. That is the only thing that will take us somewhere, that it will give us some sense of direction as to what to do in life, to what to create. And it doesn't have to be art. I don't think it has to be anything particularly artistic. It doesn't have to be music. We really are just creating a life. Creating is just what we do. We are creating friendships, we're creating families, we are creating a personality, we're creating a life. But that direction, that's where inspiration comes in. Because this life is a gift. It is a broad canvas of infinite potential upon which we get to sow our choices and direct our path. And because of that gift, we have to give back something. Which is partly why I think we only really feel content when we accomplish something that is as a result of our own innate desires. It's a reason, I think, why many of us feel like we have to do something against the norm, but we have to fulfill our own destiny. I think giving back is one way that we show our appreciation to having this gift, to having this life that we've been given just for free. We get to make all the myriad of choices in the world upon this great canvas of a life. And as a result, we have to create something, we have to put something out there. We have to leave something behind. And then when we don't, when we're not doing something beyond just surviving, I think that's when really we are gripped by thoughts of depression. When we get into that state of self-pity and when we aren't happy with the place we are in life. We're not inspired. We're not getting full of energy. And again, I say this with deep conviction. I don't think we have to create art. Not all of us. We can create math equations. We can create a teaching platform. We can create a teaching plan. We can create a meal. We can create a conversation. We can create new ideas in the friends around us. We can create relationships. We can create houses. We can create a vacation in some place in Milwaukee, which we saw in a movie once, which somehow just struck a chord, and our goal is now to take our family there. Whatever it is, we are creating a life. And when we are inspired, it's when we are given this spark for the fuel of our spirit. Because you see somebody who's electrified by something. They are full of spirit because they're inspired. They're full of energy. They're inspired by something. Something else is pulling them forward. And we need that in life. We need that in life because we are not just survivors. We are not just producers. We are brought here to create something. And when it's unique to us, that's when things really move forward in our species. Just how it's always done throughout all history. It's when we don't do this. It's when we don't allow ourselves to be inspired that we feel like we just don't have the energy to move on. We don't have the energy to do all of the responsibilities that we have as people. Because we're not full of life. We're giving too much. And that's kind of the funny paradox, is that by getting inspired, we get to give more. I think about the people that I've heard who have followed this call. They end up saying that this is what they felt they were always designed to do. They were always meant to do this. Well, that particular design, that nature that we are, that's one of the reasons we are here. Our species is constantly innovating, constantly creating new things, new ideas. We are idea creators in a large part. And when we create in line with the way we are designed, the way we are structured as people, we are working in line with our nature, which is a lot more efficient, it's a lot more practical, and a lot more fulfilling and inspiring than working against our nature. I know there were times when I would come home after a long day of work and I just didn't have the energy, and I was just exhausted, and I would get wrapped up in video games and weed, junk food and drugs. And that was partly because I didn't have anything that inspired me. That was the only thing that inspired me. It gave me some excitement in life, but it wasn't long lasting. And so in the end, it left me with a hole. But now, I just take steps forward towards a larger goal of creating something in the world. And I have all the energy in the world. And so some of you might be saying, hey, I've got a job, I'm just too tired to do this. Well, I'm gonna share with you what happened to me. I had always been inspired to draw. There was always something that was nagging in my mind about creating something on paper. And I don't have a desire to make money off of it. But pursuing this now gives me with this fuel, this energy. Now when I get home, I find that energy, because as soon as I push past that energetic block and I start doing it, that is when I begin to find fuel and find this lasting energy, this lasting electricity. It's great, because it makes everything else that I have to do a lot easier, because the necessities are not all that I'm doing in life. But it takes a commitment to give my spirit that fire, that spark, so that it can fuel me. That's partly why we have conscious minds, is to make a plan to break through barriers. We are not a victim of our environment. We have great agency in the life that we live. I'm saying this because being inspired has always spurred me forward. And now like I said, I don't have enough time in the day. We need to remember the things that inspire us beyond just making a living. And we need to make time for those things. We need to make time and commit ourselves to being fueled by life. Not just maintaining our bodies and our minds, maintaining good nutrition, but the spirit needs fuel too. What have you always wanted to try? What have you always wanted to pursue, or just been curious about? One thing I like to do is I like to look further into my future and think, what will it be like when I look back at my life and find that I didn't even try that thing that had always made me curious? Even taking one little step forward has just eased this existential, well, it's an existential heaviness about life. It has lifted that just by pursuing, just by going forward. Little things, big things. It doesn't matter what it was. When I followed that inspiration, I followed that call, I became so eased and so invigorated. And maybe not like, wow, I'm so ecstatic all the time. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about maintaining a whole and a fulfilled state of life. One that is healthy, because our spirit is a part of life, and it needs some sort of a spark to get it going so that it can fuel us. It is a component of us. We don't know why exactly in a scientific sense, but like I said, I think it's because we are creators and we are supposed to create, and that is our guidepost. So what have you been putting off because of lack of energy? What is something that you know you could just, you don't know why you're not looking into it. You don't know why are you afraid of the fact that you might fail at it? Well, what is failure anyway? Who determines failure? And at what point does it become failure? If you don't stop trying in life, you haven't really failed. Life is full of opportunity and full of these incredible things to discover and explore. So what makes you breathe deep? Art? Is it some music? Have you always been curious about some form of dance? Some place in the world? Have you read about it? These things can draw us forward in ways that we can't even imagine. I never thought that I'd be excited about bringing breathwork to schools, but now I want to show people this incredible science and technology within us that has the potential to change so much of our mind, so much of our mental health, so much of our energy. We have this power within us, and I'm inspired by it because I just followed things that interested me. I was inspired constantly, and I kept following this wavy path that didn't really have any reason to it all the time, but I always made time for that. It's a life after all, and we only ever get to live one. Following things that inspire us is like listening to the roadmap laid out by our nature. That's what I truly believe, because every time I've followed it, every time I've made an effort to pursue that, I've given something of value in some small way. I've created something, and I've not stayed in one place. The journey of life is long, but I think we make it short because we don't take the time to fuel it with the things that make it really, really juicy and really invigorating. There's so many pitfalls that could be avoided just by pursuing that goal, just by going for that thing, and then society will adapt to you. Oftentimes people are way too concerned with what they are doing to even give any energy or thought into actually judging you. That's one thing that freed me so much, was realizing that everybody is in their own world. Everybody is doing their own thing. They don't care what you're inspired by. They don't care what you do, really. As long as you're not hurting anybody, they're not going to really mind. And if they say something, then really, I've always thought that it was sort of a pity for them, because they're wasting their energy, and also they don't know. So I can't blame them. They don't know about my life, so I can't really feel mad about what they're doing or what they're saying or what they're thinking, because they just don't know. And of course it takes some time, but that's the real truth of the matter, is that they don't know about you. They don't know about your journey. They don't know your unique design. And so following what inspires you it's so much more. It's worth so much discomfort. It's worth so much pushing through your boundaries and your personal comfort zone. It's an incredible thing to do, and I love that we get to do that. I love that we get to be inspired and craft new ways of being with our own personal spin on something, our own personal spin on life. In little ways, we are drawn by something bigger than us. Is that not weird to you? Because it's weird to me. But it's also just a function of being human, so it's not that weird at all, really. I hope you find something that has driven you and made you curious on a deeper level, and you find time, you make time to do something in that direction every day, and allow yourself to be inspired and fuel you beyond just survival and just making a living, making the time for that, just exploring it. And I hope that it gives you that spark to keep you going forward in life and exploring and expanding this beautiful realm that we have called human consciousness. Because we need all of us. And we're all on our own unique path with pitfalls and hesitations and roadblocks all along the way, but that's fine. That's just the way it is. And if you still haven't taken those steps to even just go in that direction, I want you to ask yourself, what's been stopping me? Have I just been lazy? Have I just been hesitant? Have I just not given it any energy? And why? Why has that been stopping me? And then I want you to look at, what is it going to be like in the future when you realize you could have just taken the first step and been inspired and had a life that was a little more rich and a little more invigorated. I love you.